scores are already popping up on the
I
board.
love it.
At
High school football is underway.
And 13andnow.com. But right now it's time to go around the state as we preview the games in our pigskin preview portion of the show. And out of Humboldt, we've got a new play-by-play voice and sports director. And unfortunately for him, he knows Mr. Rickard. He graduated from Bishop Heelan of Sioux City. But this kid has got a lot of talent. I've watched his work online as well. KHBT 97.7 FM, the Bolt and Humboldt sports director and play-by-play voice, Alex Solsma, joins us tonight. Alex, how are you, brother?
Hey, I'm doing well. Football season is here. I'm at Olson Field tonight. We're just getting ready, about 16 minutes away from number 1 Heelan and number 8 so life couldn't be better right now.
Oh, geez, see that? He's out there with Rickard right now.
No.
You know, Tony gave you that big build-up. I wouldn't pass that around that you knew Mike Rickard that closely, Alex.
So welcome aboard, Alex. New to the board, of course, at Humboldt. Talk about your direction of getting there. You went to the University of Iowa, and now, really, at such a young age, pretty good opportunity for you.
That's right. It's an opportunity I jumped at when I graduated. I literally walked in the ceremony at Carver Hawkeye Arena, then that afternoon moved to Humboldt, and then started that Monday. And so it's been a pretty exciting summer, getting to call a lot of baseball and softball games, and then next week we have our first game as Appleton-Parkersburg comes to Humboldt.
How good is that opening game? I mean, not just the fact that it's Humboldt's opener and it's your opener, they're calling the Wildcat football, but you've got Greg Thomas, obviously the son of the late, great Ed Thomas, and Aaron Thomas, the athletic director at Appleton-Parkersburg, so it's the Thomas family meeting there in football.
That's right, and these two teams played last year as Humboldt made the trip to Appleton-Parkersburg, and it was a very emotional game because of everything that happened to the Thomas family. And I talked to Coach Greg Thomas earlier this week, and he said last year the game was just almost too emotional. This year he wants to take a more business-like approach. It's impossible to forget about everything that's happened, but they want to try to make it as business-like as they can this year, and Appleton-Parkersburg was a pretty big winner last year.
Well, of course, Humboldt's in Class 3A. They come out of District number 3, where there's some pretty salty football teams out of there. Clear Lake, the Lions, always tough. The Lynx of Webster City are going to be tough once again. Ballard of Huxley with tradition. Boone's been pretty solid over the last 5 or 6 years. Hampton-Dumont, who was a 2A team sometimes, now they are that bordering team. Always some pretty good football. Algona and Nevada, part of that. So Humboldt's got to get up from that 2-5 district finish and try to get maybe a couple more wins so they can try to make that playoff drive. What do you see so far?
It's a loaded district, and you even think about Humboldt. In 2006, they were state champions,
Yeah.
and they were in a different district, but they weren't, in Class 3A. And now you got that loaded district, as we talked about. And Humboldt would just like to improve on that win total from last year, and they're feeling pretty confident about it. Their 2 wins last year were versus the bottom 2 teams in the district, so they would like to improve on that. And Greg Thomas says it starts with the defense. He said flat out they gave up too many points throughout the year last year, and they do lose a lot of those key guys that were on that defense, but with as many points as they gave up, they think this is an opportunity to almost start fresh. And then if you look what they got coming back on offense, a couple of their top receivers are coming back, and I talked to Coach Thomas, as I said earlier this weekend, there's been a development at the quarterback position. Andrew Swan was expected to start. He was the starter last year, and now they're going to go with Ben Jacobson. He's going to be a junior this year, played a little bit on the JV team last year, and was probably the ace pitcher on the baseball team, so he's used to throwing a ball. Now it's a football instead of a baseball as we head into the fall.
You know, Alex, you mentioned about the fact that it was just 2006 since they won that 3A state championship. I actually did a game up in that press box. I had the fortune, or misfortune you might say, because I was actually broadcasting for Boone, and they absolutely throttled the Toreadors on that night. That was one loaded team. But, talk about the development now under Coach Thomas. I would imagine that they're going to have to try and run the ball, knowing that he's a descendant of Ed Thomas.
Yeah, and he said that they would like to run the ball about 70% of the time if they can. They love to run the ball. And the good thing is they got 3 offensive linemen back from last year. This is a offensive line that they're going to have to lean on because they lose their 2 leading rushers from last year. But right now they're still trying to figure out who their starting running back is going to be. It's almost going to be running back by committee until they get that figured out. But if you're in the Humboldt area and you want to check out this team, they're doing their Gatorade scrimmage tonight at 7:30 p.m., so head on over there and maybe you'll learn a little bit more about who might be that starting running back.
Well, my man Alex Solsma joining us from KHBT 97.7 FM in Humboldt. He's a sports director and play-by-play voice there. But tonight you're back at your alma mater. It's Bishop Heelan of Sioux City, and they've got some revenge on their mind because last year in a tight battle where they made plenty of mistakes, Sioux City East Raiders took care of them. So a little revenge on their mind tonight.
Last year, special teams really hurt Heelan. A couple of errant punt snaps. They had a punt block. They even surrendered a safety. I mean, it was a close game too, 36-33. The only regular season game that Heelan lost. They won every single game after that, and then went to the state championship and lost there. But this is the only regular season game that they lost. And before that loss last year, Heelan had won 6 in a row, so they want to get back on the winning end, and they feel like they have a good opportunity to do it tonight here against these.
Well, Alex, enjoy the night out there. We appreciate you throughout the year. We'll be talking to you on our Mid-American Energy Around the State in 90 Seconds piece as well. Have a good night tonight. Enjoy week 0 of the Iowa high school football season.
And enjoy week 1 next week, too.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll do all the fun time. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Alex Solsma with KHBT 97.7 FM in Humboldt. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to try to get some sideline reports as they come in. Brought to you by Mid-American Energy. Back with more Friday Night Live after this on the Iowa Sports Connection Radio and Television Network.